So, what brought me into tea? Well, I've always had an interest in tea, going back many years. I've always enjoyed good tea, good loose leaf tea. I suppose it was my grandmother that got me interested firstly, because she had quite a range of teas in her kitchen cupboard, and I was interested in where they came from and the different characteristics of them. So things like Lapsang Souchong and Ki Mun, China black teas, were amongst my favourites. So also I have worked in parts of the tea world. I've worked in market research, where I was an account manager for Lyons Tetley, and I was interested in some specialist research that had been done into the speciality tea market, and that was quite interesting when so much tea was moving towards tea bags. Other reasons: I've travelled to India, to Darjeeling, I've travelled to China, to Yunnan province and Fujian province, both well known for producing good tea. That's always fascinated me. And I suppose lastly, I've always been intrigued through my childhood and beyond in the fact that an ancestor of mine, Earl Grey, had a tea named after him, yet he was a Prime Minister, Grey of the Reform Bill, and certainly didn't have anything to do with tea. So that was an interesting fact. So for all those reasons, I started Grey's Teas in 2000, specialising in loose leaf tea. So what's special about Grey's Teas? Well, we sell loose leaf tea, just loose leaf tea, no tea bags. We focus upon orthodox teas, so those are traditionally made teas. We have a broad range, so from different parts of the world, so China, as I've said, India, Sri Lanka, East Africa, Japan, Vietnam, Thailand. So many countries which are well known for the quality of their teas. We only sell large leaf grades, and the reason for that is you get the best, most balanced flavour from large leaf grades and most distinctive characteristics. So finally, we focus upon teas that are well known, and also ones which are less well known but have distinctive qualities, and hopefully you'll have the opportunity of tasting these and exploring them for yourself. So what's good about loose leaf tea? Well, loose leaf tea, unlike small tea leaves, dust as it's sometimes known, it goes into tea bags, gives a more balanced flavour. It enables the flavour characteristics of the whole tea to come through, because it's allowed to brew for longer, and you can brew it for longer because of that large leaf size, whereas if you brewed a tea bag for longer, you would have unbearable tannins and it wouldn't be a pleasant drink. So what's special about orthodox tea? Well, again, orthodox tea is traditionally made. It's picked 2 leaves and a bud. It's withered to soften the leaf. It's rolled to get the juices onto the surface of the leaf, which then, in the case of black teas, oxidise, and then it's fired to stop that oxidisation in the air, and give us the tea that we know, and it's then graded and so on. Green tea is not oxidised, so once it's been rolled, it's immediately fired to stop any oxidisation. Orthodox tea, as I say, is traditionally made, whereas tea known as CTC, cut, tear, curl, was developed for the tea bag market. So why have I not previously heard of Grey's Teas? Well, the reason is that we sell online. We don't sell to retailers, and we sell exclusively through our own website. So we don't sell through Amazon, and other portals. And the reason for this is that we like to give as much information about our teas as possible, and to have the range which our customers are interested in, and all the different nuances of character for each different category. So that's why we focus upon selling through our own website. We do also supply wholesale to tea rooms, hotels, farm shops, delicatessens. But that tends to be in bulk. So why does the name Gray's Tea sound familiar? That's something we often get asked, and I suppose the reason is that Earl Grey tea is one of the most popular blends. I am Richard Gray. I founded the business back in 2000, as I mentioned previously, one of the things I always found intriguing as a child, and ever since I suppose, is that one of my ancestors, the second Earl Grey, had this famous tea named after him. He wasn't in the tea world. He was a politician. He was a Whig Prime Minister back in the 1830s, and is known as Grey of the Reform Bill. So he had the tea named after him. There are lots of reasons why it's thought that it was created for him, or awarded, presented to him, but the most likely reason is in fact that it was blended by his local tea merchant in Newcastle upon Tyne, near to his country estate in Northumberland, and there the water was a little bit acidic, and so his tea merchant blended this tea with the addition of Ola bergamo, which is an Italian citrus fruit, to balance the character of the water in the well which they used on the estate. We sell to members of the public, consumers, who are free to come onto our website, look at our information pages, our blog, and look at the various category descriptions, and then to look at the individual teas that go into each category and subcategory. So it does go to quite a level of detail because we have about 170 different teas. So we're selling to consumers who have a passion for good tea, as we have, and we also sell, as I said, to people who are serving tea in tea rooms, good hotels, boutique hotels, and selling tea in delicatessens and so on, farm shops. Is tea healthy? Well, that is a question that often gets asked, is often addressed by the media. Tea is healthy, particularly green teas, because they're very high in antioxidants, and tea in general is good for the cardiovascular system. It's good as an anti-carcinogenic. It is good for the teeth, for fluoride, because of the fluoride in tea, and it's also good for general health. It does contain some caffeine, but that caffeine level is about half that of freshly ground coffee, and so it tends to refresh because the caffeine passes into the body more slowly and dissipates more slowly than coffee, so you don't get that big peak which you get with coffee. It tends to be a more gentle rise and decline, so that is one of the reasons why a tea is considered more refreshing, quite apart from the fact that quite often we have a second cup. So there's something about tea that makes us want to drink more of it, whereas coffee perhaps doesn't quite have that effect. Does all tea taste the same? Well, it certainly doesn't. Obviously there are the well-known blends, English breakfast, known for its depth and maltiness. We have Earl Grey, which has the addition of Ola bergamo. Then there are other ones such as Russian Caravan, which is well known for its aromatic qualities, has some oolong in it and maybe some Lapsang Souchong, and a myriad of obviously blends. But we focus on single origin teas, and the first category is black tea, which we tend to drink in the West. But obviously green teas and other teas are getting more popular. So black teas comprise such groups as Assam, the multi teas from northern India, Darjeeling, a muscatel character also from northern India. Then in the south of India, Nilgiri, known for their fragrance, which can be compared to the floral and fragrant teas of Sri Lanka, Ceylon teas as they're still known. And then the different categories within Ceylon, such as the full-bodied imbulas, the high-grown Neurelias, lighter uvas, and so on. And then we have the China black teas, the Burgundy of teas, Kimuns, their winey character, the smoky Lapsang Souchongs, the creamy Yunnan teas in the southeast. And then of course we have African teas, which can be quite tangy, so Rwanda, Kenya, a number of different countries in East Africa. And then moving into green teas from China, from Japan, from Darjeeling, and then we have other examples from other tea growing areas. Oolong teas, famous in Taiwan, the Formosa oolongs as they're still known, from China, and then we have white teas mainly from China, yellow teas from China, flavour teas. So there are many different groups, and it's fascinating to explore them and discover your favourites. Does tea contain caffeine? Well, it does. It has about half the caffeine of coffee. That's black tea. Green tea contains about half that of black tea. And then the oolong teas, for instance, the semi-oxidized teas, a bit in between. White teas have a tiny bit because they're very slightly oxidized. But many white teas and indeed many light-bodied black teas you can have late in the evening without worrying that it's going to keep you up at night. So oolong teas as well are very attractive in the evening. You don't need to feel worried about the caffeine in many teas when it's drunk late, particularly if they're fairly light or green teas.